the magnitude of vectors. So in this video, we're talking about how to find the magnitude of vector. Now, if you remember from before, magnitude just means length or size of the vector. That's it. When we say that, we just want to know how big the vector is. So, if you think about it, when we draw our vectors, they're always triangles. That's all they ever are, is big triangles. The length of the vector is just the hypotenuse. So the way you find the magnitude is just a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's where you get this formula, which is in the formula sheet. If you want to find the magnitude of a vector, all you're doing is essentially the Pythagorean theorem. Now the notation for magnitude is this right here, absolute value of v. So if you see that, it does not mean make your vector positive. It means find the magnitude. So very strictly, that means find the magnitude. So we'll do a couple examples real quick. So let's find the magnitude of p. Now again, so that's a magnitude formula. So we're just going to use the formula right here, which is square root of the first term squared plus the second term squared, Pythagorean theorem essentially. So it's like my a and my b. So it's going to be 3 squared plus negative 5 squared, or radical 9 plus 25, which is radical 34. Again, why is that the answer? If we just graph this in component form, it would be going 3 my x, negative 5 my y. So it'd be like right there. And we want to figure out that guy right there. How long is this guy, that line right there? So the way we define it is the Pythagorean theorem. You go, okay, well, let's make a little triangle out of this. This is 3, this is 5. A squared plus b squared equals radical 34. That's the magnitude, right? How long is the vector? So we're sure we could just do this formula. Same thing for q here. I'm just going to use this term. Remember, at the same thing as just saying 2 and negative 5. I is essentially your x, j is essentially your y. So plug it in. 2 squared plus negative 5 squared. I'm going to get radical 4 plus 25, or radical 29. And that'll be the magnitude of that thing. So that's magnitude. Now that we know the magnitude of how long or how big a vector is, you can talk about the unit vector. Unit vector is exactly what it sounds like. It's a vector with the size and length of 1 unit. So these are vectors with length of 1. We talked about before that I is a unit vector in the x direction and y and j is a unit vector in the y direction. What happens sometimes with the unit vectors, they want you to find a given vector in the same direction as this vector, but only unit form. So what does that mean? Basically, this guy right here, 3 plus 2i, let me draw it. Right, same thing as 3, 2, if that prefers that. So the point right there. Let's find the length of that. Let's find how long that vector is. So this would be 3, this would be 2. So in the form of 3 squared plus 2 squared, square root, I'll get 9 plus 4, or radical 13. So this vector A has a length of rad 13, right? But I want to find a unit vector that's going the same direction. So I want to find a vector that's going the same direction as this guy, but only has a length of 1. So how do you do that? Well, it's actually a very simple formula. You just get your vector and divide it by its magnitude. Right? My vector right now is radical 13. That's the length of it. That's value of 3i plus 2j. If I want it to be a length of 1, just divide it by radical 13. So for this case, it would be like saying 3i plus 2j divided by rad 13. You could split it and make it 3i over rad 13 plus 2j over rad 13. Or if you write it in the other form, would be 3 over rad 13 and 2 over rad 13. So that'll be a unit vector in the direction of A, but has a length of 1, right? Because remember, A has a length of rad 13. I want a length of 1. Just get the vector and divide by its magnitude. That right there. So let's move on. This is this problem. Find k given that negative 1 third, and k is a unit vector. So a couple things going on here. It is a unit vector, they tell you. So what does that mean? That means the magnitude of this guy equals 1. Well, how do we find the magnitude? Use the formula. Square root of negative 1/3 squared plus k squared equals 1. Right, because again, I know it's a unit vector. So now it's just algebra. We square both sides. So these cancel out. I get 1/3 squared. So remember when that happens, you just square both top and bottom. So negative 1 squared and 3 squared. So 1/9 plus k squared equals 1 squared, which is just 1. Then just solve for that. Subtract 1/9. I'm going to need a common denominator for that. So like what, 9 over 9? You get k squared equals 8 over 9 square root. I get k equals plus and minus rad 8 over 3, right? You just square root both top and bottom. Or if you want to be simplified it, plus or minus 2 rad 2 over 3. Right? 8 breaks down to 2 and 4. 4 comes out, 2 rad 2. So that's how you find k given a unit vector. And that's the lesson.